Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hey guys, it's Joe Simons. If you want to catch some monster redfish and some monster speckled trout this fall, then you've got to get your hands on the brand new Mulligan Bomber. We have been working behind the scenes on this for quite some time, and we've perfected it. The Mulligan Bomber has those proprietary dimples, just like a golf ball, that lets this paddle tail go farther than any other 5-inch paddle tail on the market. It also skips a whole lot better as well, enabling you to reach those fish that most people can't reach, especially those big ones. They're big for a reason. So make sure to get your hands on them. That's the 5-inch Bomber. It is the farthest casting 5-inch paddle tail we've ever seen. Comes with a little bit of scent already on it, but I would highly recommend getting some Dr. Juice as well. And you can find all of that only at fishstrong.com. So go to fishstrong.com. Insider members save 20% off everything in the store. And if you spend $50 or more, it's completely free shipping. See you over there. And here's the podcast. What all these honey holes have in common. Hey, everybody. Joe Simons, Like Diamonds, back again with the podcast. I was supposed to have Luke on here, but Luke is closing on a new house. They're actually homeless. He and his wife, his pregnant wife, if you guys don't know, Luke and his wife, Lindsay, are expecting a baby. Really exciting there in that first week of February. And they lived in St. Pete on a little canal where we kept our Salt Strong boat. And they got some pretty bad flooding, and the point that they was not livable. And they had to evacuate and get out, and have really kind of been homeless the last few weeks since the hurricane, and finally found a place and moving to Winter Haven. I think just, at least for now, kind of burn out on all the different things that have happened over there in St. Pete, and the cost of living is just kind of out of control. And there's something to be said about Winter Haven. Of course, our home office is here, and our parents are here, and with the first kid, there's just a lot of support. My wife and I, and now my daughter Shauna, being able to be a kind of a built-in babysitter as they're having a daughter as their daughter gets a little bit older to that age. And anyhow, I do personally love Winter Haven. It's why we picked it, just because of a family. It's a big part of who we are and who we spend a lot of our time with. And if you look at Winter Haven, it is right in the middle of Florida. Meaning we can get down to the Keys in 4 hours, and we can be to Tampa in 1 hour on the dot to downtown Tampa, and over to Vero Beach in 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's a nice central location to kind of hit everything. So anyhow, I was recording a video. It's going to be on YouTube here. If it's not already, it will be any day. And the video was about, why do saltwater fish school in specific areas? And it was a lot of drone footage. It was 4 completely different spots. And the one thing they all had in common, these are essentially honey holes where like all the fish were in these 90-10 zones. The one thing they all had in common was structure. And I'm going to talk about the specific type of structure that they all had in common. But the one thing for sure was structure. And that was really the main lesson of the video, was finding the 90-10 zone. We talked about in a prior podcast the ladder of importance as a saltwater angler. And if you haven't seen that one, I would definitely check it out. That ladder of importance, man, it's what I wish someone would share with me. It's the one thing we wish like everyone knew. And I'll just kind of spell it out for you real quick in a 30,000 foot view. At the very top is the 90-10 zone, like finding the right spot, right? Nothing matters. Your bait, your boat, your tackle, your casting, nothing matters if you're in a bad spot. So finding the spots first, I think we can mostly agree on that. The irony is, though, tackle and just all equipment, boats, kayaks, all that stuff is at the very bottom. It's the least most important thing. And in between the top and the bottom are things like casting. Because once again, if you're in a good spot and you have the nicest boat, but you don't know how to cast or even retrieve or rig anything, then it doesn't matter. So casting is even above that. Positioning and approach is above that, right? Because once again, you could have a $200,000 bay boat, and if you had the right spot, but you went and blew it out and ran into the sandbar, the mangrove lines, it doesn't really matter. All the other stuff that you have is irrelevant. So the casting and positioning approaches up there. And of course, just being able to pick the right rig, right? The right lures, the right, leader material, the right leader size, all of that stuff matters. Obviously, if you're going in at the right spot with the right bait and even the right boat or kayak and everything else is perfect, and yet you have 60-pound leader trying to catch a finicky snook, or a finicky redfish, you might not have the same look as you would with, a 25 or 30 pounds. So, I mean, all these little things work together and just so critical to your success. But anyhow, I digress. The video is about finding the 90-10 zone. And to me, that's the one area that there's not enough teaching on. Even if you watch a lot of the YouTube videos and heck, even if you watch fishing TV shows, they're all sponsor driven, right? I mean, all those guys and gals that had TV shows, as you know, I mean, you even see who it's sponsored by. It's yes, there is a little bit of talk about finding the fish, but it's usually about the city they're in because they're getting paid by the Chamber of Commerce or the city to feature the city, and it's about storytelling and it's entertainment, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. I enjoy quite a few different TV shows, fishing TV shows still, but it doesn't feel like it's the good old days where it really was about teaching and about like teaching people why that spot was good and actually showing the spot, right? Like, hey, here's exactly where we were and here's why the fish were there during that time. And that's why we published that book, Scientific Saltwater Angler. If you haven't gotten it, it's a completely free ebook. I'll make sure to put a link there, or you can just Google for Scientific Saltwater Fishing. You'll see a link to get it. And there's a video that goes with it as well, all free. It's the reason we share that stuff because it's so critical. And that means more people will have more success. They'll have more fun. That means more people out fishing. That means more likely chance that they're going to be telling their kids and grandkids about it. It just helps everyone out. So I digress. I'm getting carried away. I get so excited about this stuff, but that 90-10 zone is absolutely so critical. And as we saw in all that drone footage, and if you go watch that video, you'll see it. The one thing they had in common was a lot of different types of structure. But the one particular thing in these 4 examples was potholes. And I thought that was interesting as I've kind of finished the video. I was like, man, that is kind of cool that in every one of these examples, in 3 out of the 4, we caught fish. Actually, maybe all 4 of them, we actually caught fish in those spots. But it was interesting that all of them had potholes in general. And so a pothole, a lot of people maybe don't know what a pothole is. You can certainly see them in like Florida and clear water. A little bit tougher, obviously, if you're up in the Carolinas or in areas of Texas that have just really dark brown, murky water. A little bit tougher to see. But a pothole is essentially, and they could be big or small, but it's what it sounds like, right? It almost looks like something you'd see a crater like on the moon. It's just a slight, sometimes just an inch or so. Sometimes it's more, but usually just a little bit, just an inch or so of an indentation or a dimple, something that goes down in the ground. Many times, kind of like a bass bed would be probably the best example. If you've been freshwater fishing, a bass bed is like a pothole. And the fish hold in that. It is a form of structure. It's an ambush area for predator fish. It attracts a lot of bait fish because, once again, it just looks different. It's a different type of bottom formation, so it attracts bait fish. And it's really good for predator fish because it gives them a place to kind of hide down and go attack those bait fish as they come into the realm, if you will. So I would encourage you, as you're looking for spots and as you're doing your pre-trip planning, 1, focus on structure. And Smart Fishing Spots is, in my opinion, the best app and the only app you'll need to do that. I mean, we have everything from the oyster bar layer. That's a type of structure. We have the seagrass layer for the states that have seagrass. You can see all the different points. You can hit the 4K satellite, the 1-foot contour lines, and even half-foot. If you guys don't know this, I think we're one of the only platforms that has those half-foot contour lines. It's something we own. It's proprietary to us. And you get them by zooming in closer. So if you were on, let's just say an area in Jacksonville and you zoom pretty far out, you'll see all the 1-foot contour lines. You'll see all those lines, and every line indicates a foot in depth change. So the closer the lines are, the quicker it's dropping off, right? That's an easy way to think about it. So every line is a foot in depth change. Closer to the lines, that means the quicker it's dropping off. Makes sense, right? So if you zoom in on those, you'll start seeing it goes from 1 foot to half foot, and it's not in every single area. This stuff is really, really hard to get. It's very time consuming, but it is a majority of the areas. So try it out. You'll see it as you zoom in. All of a sudden, you'll see, wow, it just went from 1 foot to half foot. And that's where sometimes you can even find and identify some of these little small ledges, even 6-inch ledges and potholes. Very, very, very eye-opening when you see that. So Smart Fishing Spots is the best way, in my opinion, to find all these different types of structure. That 3D, the sonar, the 3D underwater layer is another one. Great way to see all types of underwater structures. So as you're doing that, as you're pre-trip planning and finding the structure, step number 2 is start looking for things like potholes. Maybe the things that you took for granted. Maybe you've only been looking for oysters, and nothing wrong with that. But as Luke always says, maximize the amount of structure, you maximize the amount of fish you're going to catch. And potholes, I think, is just one of those overlooked types of structure that always seem to hold something. Like if we ever see a pothole, we are slowing down. We are like completely changing up our approach, meaning being more quiet. And we're making sure we get cast in and around those potholes. It doesn't mean the fish are always going to be in them. I think that's a misconception that everyone thinks just like a bass, they're going to be just sitting down there. Sometimes they are, but in general, like even the drone footage, I'll encourage you to go watch that video. Not all the fish are sitting, and actually in a couple of instances, they're not even in the pothole. They're just right on the ledge of it, right on the edge of that pothole where the pothole meets the grass or the sand or whatever it is. So definitely focus in and around potholes. And if you see a bunch of them, yeah, I would slow down and fish that area pretty hard. And if you see bait around those potholes, even better. So all that being said, I wanted to share that with you as I was recording the video. I was like, I want to do a quick podcast about this, just as a good reminder as you're thinking about your next trip, as you're thinking about going to the ramp or going to wade fishing or whatever you're doing. Always be thinking about, man, how do I maximize the amount of structure around me? How do I maximize the amount of potholes and indentions and just little depth changes? All those little things make a massive difference. The other one that we've heard over and over again on this podcast, and it's worth repeating, is going shallow. The other thing that was in common with all 4 of the drone videos I pulled up, they're all in 3 to 4 feet of water or less. And in 3 out of the 4 videos, those fish were all like in 18 inches or less. So they were all pushed super, super shallow. And I remember having Kent Hickman on. So Kent Hickman is the great tournament angler and now runs the Florida Power, or I'm sorry, the Redfish Power Pole series for the tournament series. And I asked him, like, hey man, like what are some tips you can give? And he's like, go super shallow. He's like, for redfish in particular, go super, super shallow, shallower than you think you need, meaning you don't need a big bay boat. You don't even need anything except wading boots. He's like, some of the best fish are super, super shallow. A foot or less. They're up there feeding, right? Because a lot of the bait is shallow, right? A lot of the bait in the inshore environment and estuaries is not going to be out deep. It's going to be in super, super shallow. They're trying to get as shallow as they can to get away from the predators, and the predators are trying to get as shallow as they can to find some of that bait. So make sure as you're looking, go near shorelines, go near points that are obviously on shorelines. Don't be afraid to look shallow. I think too many people, maybe it's the fear of, getting a boat or a kayak stuck, or just in general, they've been offshore fishing more than inshore and think, oh man, all the fish are out deep, or the deeper the water, the bigger the fish. Maybe, but as Kent said, the majority of fish that win the tournament, and we're talking about real money here. There's 6 figures of tournament winnings in these Power Pole Redfish series. The majority of the winning fish are caught in a couple feet or less. So just remember that. That is worth repeating. These are some of the best redfish anglers in the country, and they're fishing. They go to Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and Carolinas. They're fishing all the main spots that have redfish, not just one little small area. And he said over and over again, the winning fish are not caught deep. there. In general, there have been some that have been caught deeper, meaning in that 7-8 foot of water or docks. But in general, the majority of these winning fish are caught in a few feet of water or less, super, super shallow. So don't ignore the shallow water. And it's just fun. If you get a chance to sight cast, even if it's dirtier water and you see a redfish tail or you're seeing bait popping and you know there's some predator fish down there, there is just something cool about seeing a fish light up on your lure, or when you get them hooked and they're just tearing up the flat and you see the water moving. I mean, to me, that is just so exciting. It's such a fun fight, and it's just adrenaline pumping. So hope this helps. Hope that was helpful. 2 next steps. 1, make sure to go watch that video if you haven't seen already about why do saltwater fish school up in certain areas. And number 2, more importantly, is get a copy of the Scientific Saltwater Fishing ebook, and there's a video. It's about an hour long, and it takes probably about an hour to read the book. So I did a kind of essentially an audio and video version if you like watching video or like listen to podcasts like this one. So you can hear me talking through the book and kind of reading it, or you can go read it yourself. It's all there for free. If you want the book, it's just a download. If you're a member, we have it in the cheat sheet section, so we should all be there for all you Insider members. And if you're not an Insider member, what the heck are you waiting on? Come join us and the almost 60,000 others in the Insider Club. And that's all. It's saltstrong.com. Appreciate you big time, and hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope your next fishing trip is epic and you take all this to consideration before you hit the water. The pre-trip planning is critical. Maximize the structure, maximize your results. Look for potholes and go shallow. 'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was